Welcome to This Explainer. We're jumping right into some of the most ambitious engineering projects in human history today. We're going to dive into the actual blueprints being drafted right now to completely shatter the historical limits of human biology, energy production, and even our planetary confinement. It is some truly mind-bending stuff. Now, you might be thinking, come on, what if living to 100 is the new 60? Our energy is limitless, and our home spans multiple planets. That's pure science fiction, right? Well, not anymore. Global space agencies, genetic researchers, and massive energy consortiums are engineering these exact breakthroughs as we speak. The theoretical boundaries of the past, they're literally becoming our present reality. So, we'll be exploring three distinct frontiers today. Fusion for limitless clean energy, genetics for extending the human lifespan, and the incredible plans for our moon base future. First up, fusion, limitless clean energy. Okay, so the ultimate energy solution is basically replicating the power of the sun right here on Earth. And to pull that off, we use a mind-blowing device called a tokamak. It's essentially a containment vessel. You see, to overcome the massive electrostatic repulsion between nuclei, we have to heat plasma to absolutely incredible temperatures. We're talking around 100 million Kelvin. Obviously, no physical material on Earth can withstand that kind of heat. So the tokamak uses intense magnetic fields to keep that superheated plasma suspended in midair, preventing it from instantly melting the reactor walls. It is just a stunning feat of physics. And to put the sheer leap in scale we're attempting right now into perspective, early experiments, like the JET reactor, produced just 16 megawatts of gross thermal output with a Q plasma value of 0.6. The current ITER project steps that up significantly, aiming for 500 megawatts and a Q value of 10. But the proposed EU DEMO reactor, that is designed to produce a staggering 2,000 megawatts of continuous power with a Q plasma value of 25, meaning it produces 25 times more power than it actually takes to sustain the reaction. It completely dwarfs everything we've tried before. Of course, moving from these experimental phases to an actual grid-connected power station takes time. The roadmap for the EU demo reactor projects that the conceptual design will be complete by 2030, engineering and construction will kick off by 2040, and actual operations will commence sometime in the 2050s. But here's the catch. Bringing this multi-billion-dollar technology to market means we have to survive what economists call the venture capital valley of death. Basically, there's a huge risk of insufficient investment to bridge the gap between having a working prototype and building commercial fusion power stations. It's going to demand immense public and private investment. We literally have to build entirely new, labor-intensive supply chains from scratch just to make fusion a competitive reality on the grid. Moving on to our second frontier, genetics. Extending human lifespan. Now, as we secure all that limitless energy for the future, we kind of need to ensure we live long enough to actually see it, right? Historically, we've always measured aging chronologically, just counting the years we've been alive. But science is increasingly treating physiological aging as a disease, and diseases can be targeted. Physiological age actually looks at the cellular damage we accumulate over time, which is based on a mix of our genetics, lifestyle, nutrition, and past diseases. So aging really begins at the cellular level. Our cells divide to keep us healthy, but they eventually hit a hard stop known as the Hayflick limit. For a normal human cell, this is roughly 50 divisions. After that, they stop dividing and are supposed to enter programmed cell death, but sometimes they don't. Some survive and become what we call senescent cells. These kind of zombie cells just linger in the body, triggering chronic inflammation and actively damaging surrounding tissues. They are literally a root cause of the aging process. To combat this, researchers are aggressively studying senolytic therapies designed to specifically target these aging cells. Two highly watched examples right now are rapamycin and metformin. Rapamycin acts on the mTOR pathway to block specific cell division proteins, while metformin, which is actually a very common diabetes drug, has been shown to reduce age-related oxidative stress and inflammation. The data we're seeing is incredibly promising, showing these therapies can boost cellular regeneration and even enhance cognitive and immune function. It's a real game changer. But as you can probably guess, rewriting human biology comes with some profound ethical hurdles. We have the technology, like CRISPR, to edit genes cheaply and efficiently, but the 2018 CRISPR-engineered twins controversy is a perfect example of the risks. A researcher named He Jiankui edited human embryos to resist HIV by deleting a region of the CCR5 receptor. He forged ethical documents, caused a massive global uproar, and ultimately received a 3-year prison sentence. It's a stark reminder that our technological capability to edit genes is rapidly outpacing our ethical frameworks. Which brings us to our third frontier, moon base, our lunar future. We have the energy, we have the biology, now we look to the stars. On March 24th, 2026, NASA hosted a massive event called Ignition. There, they invited industry and international partners to unveil incredibly detailed plans for a permanent moon base. Located in the extreme terrain of the lunar South Pole, this base isn't just about planting a flag anymore. It's designed to serve as the ultimate proving ground for deep space and Mars exploration. But setting up camp at the South Pole, yeah, that's no easy task. It's strategically rich in resources, but incredibly hostile. We're talking extreme lighting conditions with dramatic shadows that seriously hinder solar power, plus prolonged periods of extreme cold and absolute darkness. Add to that treacherous high mountains and deep craters, and it becomes clear we have to invent entirely new, advanced mobility systems just to access and harvest those frozen resources safely. To conquer this terrain, NASA has outlined a phased, step-by-step approach. They aren't trying to do it all at once. Step 1 is Phase 1, which focuses on testing our capabilities with 21 initial uncrewed landings. Step 2 moves into Phase 2, bringing the first crewed missions and setting up initial shared infrastructure like power and comms. And finally, Step 3 hits Phase 3, achieving the ultimate goal, a sustained, continuous crew presence on the surface of the moon with uncrewed cargo return capabilities. Now, making this a reality requires a truly staggering growth in our logistics capabilities. For Phase 1, we only need to transport about 4,000 kilograms of payload mass to the lunar surface. But by Phase 3, that requirement jumps to a massive 150,000 kilograms. Getting that much mass off Earth and onto the moon requires an immense scaling up of our transport logistics, relying on systems built by both government and commercial innovators. So why go through all this trouble just for the moon? Well, because ultimately, this shared lunar infrastructure is the essential stepping stone for Mars. The moon base directly supports the development of what they call Mars-forward technology. We're talking about testing critical transport tech like the SR-1 Freedom Nuclear Electric Propulsion Reactor, and deploying the orbital navigation and timing assets we will absolutely depend on when we finally head to the Red Planet. The overarching goal here isn't just another brief visit. As the agency's vision states, it's about igniting progress, a bold vision for scientific, technological, and economic development at the moon. It's all about establishing an enduring presence. And finally, igniting our shared future. The absolute main takeaway from this explainer is simply this. The theoretical boundaries of the past are actively becoming the engineering projects of today. From replicating the sun in massive tokamak reactors, to hacking the biological limits of our own cells, to building permanent habitats in the darkest craters of the moon, humanity is scaling up like never before. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As we master the elements of fusion, extend our biological clocks, and establish off-world colonies, which of these frontiers will most radically redefine what it means to be human? As we break all of these historical limits, what in the world will humanity achieve next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking forward.